Remember when Sigourney Weaver strapped into that power loader? Bill Paxton screamed, "Game over, man," and the entire British crew refused to watch the director's previous film? This sequel almost never happened. Today, we're counting down 15 weird facts you never knew about aliens. Number 15. That bold Aliens title card at the start of the film hits differently once you know how it was sold. James Cameron walked into a Fox boardroom in 1983, wrote Alien on a whiteboard, added an S, then drew 2 vertical lines through the letter to transform it into a $sign. He later confirmed the story to Empire magazine. Maybe it was just Pavlovian conditioning when they saw the $sign connected closely to the word alien. Or maybe it was the confidence I projected, but they said yes. At the time of that pitch, Cameron had no completed feature film to his name. He was brought in to write a treatment based on his unproduced Terminator script. Fox nearly sold the sequel rights to producers Mario Kassar and Andrew Vina before new Fox president Lawrence Gordon revived the project in July 1984. A Hollywood producer warned him, "If your movie's good, Ridley will get the credit. If it's bad, it's all you." Cameron had first seen the original Alien on opening night while working as a truck driver. He understood what this franchise meant to audiences. That title card is not just a plural. It is a promise from a director who sold a sequel with a $sign before writing a word of the script. Before he could shoot a frame, he had to build a military unit from scratch, starting with a real-life boot camp. Number 14. The moment the Marines emerge from hypersleep and start trading insults in the mess hall, their bond feels completely genuine. It is, because it was. The entire Marine cast underwent 3 weeks of intensive military training at Pinewood Studios, conducted by the British SAS before a single camera rolled. Cameron also required every actor to read Robert Heinlein's Starship Troopers to understand the Space Marine mentality from the inside. Stunt coordinator Paul Weston described the daily regimen in the Superior Firepower documentary. "We had a physical fitness routine from 8:30 in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. Running, weightlifting, and calisthenics." Cameron then handed each Marine actor paint, string, animal bones, and art supplies to personalize their body armor. Mark Rolston hung chicken bones from his gear. Jenette Goldstein wrote "Adios" and "El riesgo siempre vive." Bill Paxton sketched skulls and contents under pressure, dispose of properly. Cameron deliberately excluded Sigourney Weaver, Paul Reiser, and William Hope from all of it. When those characters encounter the Marines on camera, the outsider tension is not manufactured. It is the genuine result of 3 weeks those actors never shared. Vietnam veteran Al Matthews, meritoriously promoted to sergeant in the 1st Marine Division with 13 combat decorations, including 2 Purple Hearts, personally taught the cast proper firearms handling. Cameron reportedly cast him in 30 seconds. Next, another cast member arrived at her audition, expecting an entirely different film about a very different kind of alien. Number 13. Private Vasquez stepping off the dropship is one of the great character introductions in this film. Muscular, intense, completely in command of every scene she occupies. The actress playing her had no film credits, no agent, and arrived at the audition for an entirely different movie. Jenette Goldstein saw a casting notice in a London trade paper reading "Genuine American Actors, British Equity for Feature Film Aliens, 20th Century Fox," and assumed it was a drama about illegal immigration. She showed up in a sleeveless blouse and heels. The day was unusually hot, and her arms, toned from bodybuilding at Hyams Gym in East London, caught the casting team's attention. The misunderstanding made it into the finished film. Hudson's line, "Somebody said alien, she thought they said illegal alien, and signed up," was written as a direct in-joke about what had happened at her audition. Aliens was Goldstein's first film role. Cameron spent 2 weeks fighting Fox to accept her. Fox said she had never made a film. Cameron knew, and he did not care. An actress originally cast as Vasquez asked producers to reduce the profanity. The part went to Goldstein. She appeared in Near Dark in 1987, Terminator 2 in 1991, and Titanic in 1997. Every time Vasquez dominates a scene, you are watching an actress with no credits who walked into the wrong audition and was too good to let go. The weapons she carried looked futuristic, but they were built from something far older. Number 12. Watch the Marines loading up in the armory. Ammo counters flickering on their M41A pulse rifles, and the hardware looks like something from another century. It is, just not the one you were imagining. The pulse rifle was built around a fully functional M1A1 Thompson submachine gun from World War II. Cameron had originally planned to use Heckler & Koch MP5s, but their 9mm rounds produced inadequate muzzle flash. The Thompson's .45 ACP round solved the problem. British armorers Bapty and Company married each Thompson to a cut-down Remington 870 shotgun serving as the underbarrel grenade launcher, wrapped the assembly in the handguard of a franchise PAS-12, and encased everything in custom aluminum shells from a race car manufacturer. Only one fully functional Hero pulse rifle existed throughout production. Approximately 7 props survived filming. One is permanently on display at the Royal Armouries Museum in Leeds. The M56 smart gun was even stranger. Built from a German MG-42 machine gun mounted on a Steadicam harness because Goldstein could not carry the weight unaided, the targeting scope was a G1 Megatron Transformers toy, and the trigger linkage came from a 1976 Husqvarna motorcycle. Metal casings occasionally visible ejecting from the rifles on screen are a continuity error, an unavoidable byproduct of firing real Thompsons in a story set in an era of caseless ammunition. Cameron's ingenuity stretched every dollar, but the props were the least of his problems once the crew decided they did not want him there. Number 11. The relentless claustrophobic intensity of every frame in Aliens, the dark corridors, the mounting dread, the refusal to give audiences any breathing room, was being produced by a director fighting for control of his own set every single day. The British crew at Pinewood revered Ridley Scott, who had directed Alien there, and openly resented an unknown Canadian directing the sequel. They nicknamed Cameron Grizzly Adams because of his beard. The Terminator had not yet been released in the UK. Cameron arranged screenings to establish his credentials. The cast attended. The crew refused. They also disrespected producer Gail Ann Hurd, assuming her producing credit existed only because she was Cameron's wife. Cameron later stated the crew had never worked with a female producer. A production supervisor who repeatedly undermined Hurd eventually admitted he could not work for a woman. He was replaced. The cultural friction centered most visibly on union-mandated tea breaks. In one incident documented by J.W. Rinsler in The Making of Aliens, a set had been pumped with atmospheric smoke for over an hour. The moment Cameron was ready to shoot, the tea trolley arrived, the door opened, and all the smoke was gone. Cameron reportedly wanted to strangle this poor old lady who was just doing her job. The crew eventually had t-shirts made that read, "You can't scare me. I work for James Cameron." The composer who scored all of it was fighting his own separate battle entirely. Number 10. That pounding militaristic score during the Marines' descent and the primal crescendo when Ripley faces the Queen was composed in a state of genuine crisis. Composer James Horner arrived in London expecting 6 to 7 weeks to score the film. He found Cameron still editing. There was nothing to score. His window shrank to approximately 3 weeks, and some accounts suggest it was closer to 2. Cameron and Hurd made last-minute edit changes that invalidated music Horner had already timed to the cut. When Horner confronted the producers, Hurd reportedly told him the production would find someone else. Horner fired back, "If you can find somebody better able to do this than me, I'd like to meet them." The music for the climactic Ripley vs. Queen battle was composed overnight. Horner recorded the entire score in approximately 4 days with the London Symphony Orchestra at Abbey Road Studios. According to Movie Music UK's Jonathan Broxton, Cameron allegedly pinned Horner to the wall of the booth at Abbey Road by his neck during one argument. In post-production, Cameron rearranged sections and inserted portions of Jerry Goldsmith's original Alien score to fill the gaps. Horner called the experience a nightmare and vowed never to work with Cameron again. The score earned his first Oscar nomination for Best Original Score. The two men did not speak for a decade, until reconciling for Titanic in 1997. The original cinematographer was also fired, and his replacement had an unexpected connection to the first Alien. Number 9. Those alien nest corridors, inky black and lit only by the Marines' shoulder lamps creating moving pools of light in absolute darkness, almost looked completely different. Original cinematographer Dick Bush clashed with Cameron over a fundamental creative question. Bush wanted the nest scenes brightly lit to showcase the detailed set design. Cameron wanted near total darkness, with the Marines' practical lights as the only source of illumination in the frame. Bush also told Cameron he could not meet the shooting schedule. Producer Gail Ann Hurd recalled the outcome. "Dick came to us and said, 'If I can't shoot it how I want it, then you'd better find another director of photography.' So we did." Cameron attempted to hire Derek Van Lint, who had shot the original Alien under Ridley Scott. Van Lint declined and recommended Adrian Biddle instead, who had served as the focus puller on Scott's original Alien. Biddle had never shot a feature film as director of photography. He got his first major credit and embraced Cameron's dark, lamplit aesthetic without hesitation. Bright lighting would have exposed the limitations of the alien suits and set construction. Darkness made the xenomorphs terrifying, and it was cheaper to execute. Every shadow in the nest exists because two men could not agree on a light switch, and the one who wanted darkness won. A far more dramatic personnel crisis was still coming, one that would replace a lead actor over a single weekend. Number 8. Corporal Hicks stands apart from the other Marines as the calm, reliable center of the squad. That character was originally played by someone else entirely. Hicks was cast as James Remar, who filmed several weeks of footage before being fired. The official explanation at the time was creative differences. Remar eventually told the truth on the Sidebar podcast. I was initially cast as Corporal Hicks, and I was fired after a couple weeks of filming because I got busted for possession of drugs. Producer Gail Ann Hurd later added that Remar was arrested after purchasing a speedball from an undercover officer in London. Their legal team negotiated his deportation rather than allow him to face a potential sentence of 8 to 10 years in an English prison. Hurd called Michael Bean on a Friday night, confirmed his passport was current, and he was shooting by Monday morning. Bean had previously played Kyle Reese in Cameron's Terminator. He came in without the 3-week Marine boot camp and was forced to wear Remar's customized chest plate. As Bean recalled, James Remar painted his with a heart with a lock on it, right where his heart was. I thought, that looks exactly like a target to me. At least 2 shots of Remar remain in the finished film. In certain wide shots during the processing station sequence, the man wearing Hicks's armor is James Remar, filmed weeks before his life fell apart. Alright, we're at the halfway mark, and things are about to get wilder. Before we hit the top 7, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite Aliens quote or moment? Drop it in the comments. And if you're enjoying this, smash that like button and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Number 7. Hudson's breakdown after the first alien ambush is one of the most quoted moments in science fiction cinema. That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over. It sounds scripted. It was not. The line was improvised by Bill Paxton, confirmed by Paxton himself, James Cameron, and multiple cast members in a 2016 Yahoo Movies oral history. Paxton explained the thinking. I figured he probably came up on simulators and video games. Back in those days, at the end of your quarter, game over. So I thought, game over. Has anybody ever used that? I wonder, because it's kind of good. I had no idea it would catch on. The line grew out of rehearsal rather than being invented on the spot. Paxton pitched ideas to Cameron, who stored them for later. Cameron reflected. It was the actors who inhabited and shaped those characters. You remember Hudson? That was Bill. Many of Hudson's most memorable lines were Paxton originals. We're on an express elevator to hell going down. Came from those sessions. Weaver recalled, Bill came up with all these insane things to say, and we would all have to focus really hard not to break character. Game Over Man migrated from 1980s arcade culture into permanent cinematic vocabulary because one actor understood exactly who his character was. The youngest cast member was not improvising anything. She had never been in front of a camera in her life, and she was found in the last place anyone expected. Number 6. They mostly come at night. Mostly. Newt's whispered warning is one of the most haunting lines in the film, delivered by a child who had never acted before. Carrie Henn was discovered at a U.S. Air Force base in England where her father was stationed. Producer Gail Ann Hurd recalled the audition. She came in and auditioned, never having acted, even in a school play, and was dead on from the very first reading. Henn had trouble acting afraid of the xenomorphs because she genuinely liked the performers inside the suits. Her solution was to imagine a dog was chasing her. The air duct sequence presented an unexpected problem. Henn kept deliberately blowing her takes so she could ride the 3-story vent system like a slide. Cameron struck a deal, complete the shot properly, and she could play on it afterward. She did, and he kept his word. A full look-alike dummy was built for shots requiring Weaver to carry Newt while also holding weaponry. Henn endured a full-body cast to create it. Her real brother Christopher played her on-screen brother Timmy in the special edition Colony sequences. Bill Paxton apologized every time Hudson swore in front of her. She did not mind because she did not understand the words. Aliens was Carrie Henn's only credited acting role. She grew up to become a 4th-grade teacher. Newt needed saving from a monster, but building that monster began with a garbage bag in a parking lot. Number 5. The Queen's emergence from behind her egg sac is one of the great reveals in science fiction cinema. 14 feet of glistening fury, crown flaring, jaw extending, tail whipping. She is a physical puppet born from a proof of concept test involving garbage bags and a parking lot. James Cameron approached Stan Winston with concept art and a proposal. Put 2 stuntmen inside a giant puppet. Winston's reaction: this man is out of his mind. Before committing to the full build, they ran a test in the parking lot behind Winston's Los Angeles shop. A crude queen was assembled from foam core, painted black, wrapped in trash bags, with foam rubber monster hands glued on. 2 stuntmen were hung from a crane in a fiberglass belly pan with ski pole arm extensions. The term garbage bag test permanently entered the vocabulary at Stan Winston's studio as shorthand for any proof of concept. The final queen stood approximately 14 feet tall and required 14 to 16 operators at any given moment. 2 stuntmen inside controlling 4 arms, a hydraulically operated head and neck, cable-operated face and jaw, externally puppeted legs, and a crane supporting the structure from above. All full-size queen sequences were captured entirely in camera with zero post-production manipulation. The queen is not a digital creation. She is a physical puppet operated by 16 people in real time. Every twitch of her jaw is a human being pulling a cable. Ripley needed something equally physical to fight her. Number 4. Ripley stepping into the power loader, clamps locking, hydraulics hissing, and walking toward the queen is one of the defining images of 1980s action cinema. The machine looks like functioning industrial hardware. Companies called 20th Century Fox after the film's release, hoping to purchase one for their warehouses. The reason it looks so real is that it essentially was. The power loader concept originated in Cameron's unmade 1978 short film Xenogenesis, where a woman in a robotic exoskeleton battles a giant creature. SFX supervisor John Richardson built the final version over 3 months from aluminum, fiberglass, and PVC plastic. It weighed approximately 600 pounds. The secret: stuntman John Lees was concealed directly behind Weaver inside the machine in a black skin suit, actually operating it. Cameron described it as the gag, where the dad lets the daughter walk on his feet. The loader fell face first many times during rehearsal. Wrists were radio controlled. Pincers operated on cables. Hidden counterweights disguised as machine components prevented it from toppling forward on camera. Richardson recalled champagne arriving on Friday nights with notes from Cameron. Building power loaders is thirsty work. Have one on me. Weaver spent her lunch breaks rehearsing movements with Lees. Every step the power loader takes, a hidden stuntman is carrying it, and Weaver across the set. The loader was built to fight, but the scene it produced almost fell apart because there was reportedly only one chance to get the most important moment right. Number 3. Ripley emerging from the elevator in the power loader, locking eyes with the queen, and delivering her famous challenge is the defining moment of the film. Getting there required combining the 600-pound power loader with 16 queen operators in a space where 2 massive practical rigs could barely share the same set. No digital removal of wires or supports was possible. Every frame required precise physical choreography between 2 enormous practical machines. According to production accounts, the crucial delivery of Ripley's challenge had to be captured in a single take due to the extremely tight remaining schedule. Weaver reportedly believed she had flubbed the line entirely. Cameron's core philosophy for the finale: I wanted the final confrontation to be a hand-to-hand fight, a very intense personal thing, not done with guns, which are a remote way of killing. Ripley defeats the queen not with a weapon, but with a tool. 2 mothers, each defending their child. The airlock climax required approximately 8 attempts with the miniature models, which crashed into pieces each time and were super glued back together. On the 9th attempt, according to VFX artist Phil Notaro, the miniature exploded beyond repair. They had the shot. Weaver thought she had ruined the most important moment in the film. She had not. The emotional heart of the film was cut from the theatrical release, and it contains a detail involving Weaver's own family. Number 2. In the special edition of Aliens, Ripley learns that her daughter Amanda died at the age of 66 while she drifted in hypersleep for 57 years. She had promised to be home for her daughter's 11th birthday. The photograph Burke hands her of an elderly woman was of Sigourney Weaver's real-life mother, English actress Elizabeth Inglis. That detail completely recontextualizes every moment Ripley later spends protecting Newt. The scene was cut from the theatrical release because Fox felt the runtime needed trimming. Fox production president Scott Rudin flew to England requesting 12 additional minutes of cuts so the film could screen 5 times daily instead of 4. Cameron refused. Weaver was reportedly devastated. Without the scene, Ripley's protection of Newt reads as heroic instinct. With it, she is a grieving mother who lost her own daughter to time and refuses to lose another child. The scene was restored in the 1991 special edition, which Cameron has described as his preferred version. Some visual effects for the colony sequences had been left unfinished during original production and were completed specifically for that release by the Skotak brothers. The deleted scene inspired the 2014 video game Alien: Isolation, which centers on Amanda Ripley searching for her mother. Weaver herself voiced a cameo in the game's downloadable content, closing a narrative loop that began with a photograph of her own mother. Number 1. Watch Sigourney Weaver in the final act of Aliens, soaked in sweat, cradling Newt, staring down the Queen, and the realization settles in that you are watching one of the great performances of the decade. Fox did not always see it that way. The studio asked Cameron to write an alternate version without Ripley to avoid paying a star salary. Cameron refused. He and producer Gail Ann Hurd quit the project in April 1985 when Fox refused to commit to Weaver as the only candidate. Weaver ultimately negotiated $1 million plus gross participation, reportedly the highest salary for an actress at that time. She had been paid approximately $35,000 for the original Alien in 1979. At the 59th Academy Awards in 1987, Weaver was nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role, the first Best Actress nomination in Academy history for a science fiction film. She competed against Kathleen Turner, Sissy Spacek, Jane Fonda, and winner Marlee Matlin. The film received 7 Oscar nominations and won 2, Best Visual Effects and Best Sound Effects Editing. Horner received his first Oscar nomination for the score he composed in 3 weeks. Weaver reflected in a 2022 interview, "I really appreciate the Academy community getting over whatever prejudices they might have against this kind of sci-fi genre and nominating me for the actual work." It took Sandra Bullock in Gravity in 2013 for the Academy to similarly honor a science fiction lead actress, Aliens, a sequel directed by a man the crew despised, scored by a composer who called it a nightmare, and anchored by a woman the studio tried to write out of the script entirely. From a garbage bag queen to a 600-pound power loader hiding a stuntman, from a lead actor replaced over a weekend to a child who never made another film, every decision that defines this movie should not have worked. And somehow, all of it did. None of it was guaranteed. All of it was earned. If this video surprised you, drop your favorite fact in the comments, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves this movie as much as you do. And as always, they mostly come at night. Mostly. We'll see you next time.